Hey, everybody, welcome to today's episode of The Suspense is Killing Me. I have the one and only Angel from Voices from the Mausoleum.
You did
I
it. That's
did it.
great.
I don't know if that's actually like even complimentary to what you're trying to achieve over there, but you know.
Sure it is. It's all things, so it's perfect.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, it's Saturday morning. You and I are
Yeah.
hanging out.
Yeah.
We finally made this happen. You and I have both been trying to make this work on our two conflicting fun schedules because of all the things in life.
Yeah.
And we did it. We're here.
Made it. Yeah. Scheduling is like one of the most exhausting parts sometimes of content creating on any level. It's like,
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
especially when you start doing stuff with people who are in different time zones and
Yeah.
it's a lot. So,
Yeah, well, you know, because you do that like
mhm.
quite well, and you do it quite a lot. You're one of the reasons we were talking before we came on today. One of the
Mhm.
reasons I was really excited to get you on is that although you do write and you do publish books, you're also a content creator. You have a YouTube channel, you've done podcasts, you've done all the things, and so part of the my desires with this show are to showcase like the community, all the people, all the things, doing all the things that all kind of circle around the work that people are creating in this space. And
Yeah.
one of the things I love about being an author, and you probably resonate with this because of the conversations you and I had about supporting other authors, is you get to support all these other artists.
Yeah.
It's not just about writing, it's about cover art and it's about editors and proofreaders and beta and all the things. And then with
Mhm.
you've got the YouTube channel
Yeah. Yeah.
and all that. And I can't wait to unpack that. Can't wait to talk about the channel.
So many things to talk about.
So tell us a little bit about the channel. Like what are you guys doing over there? First of all, like what kind of people do you love to entertain the most over there?
Yeah. So when I first started Voices, it was just me. And I did just me and things that I wanted to do for, I think, about a year before I started branching out and doing like collaborations. Coming into the horror community space, or really any new space when you're talking about social media and interacting with strangers on the internet, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I was really nervous about the idea of letting anybody into that space. And so I was very like weird about, like, I was so nervous to do collaborations. And then I started a series, which is my baby series, called Five Influential Horror, where I have people, I mean, and literally everybody, just random horror fans, other content creators, writers, I mean, just anybody that loves the genre comes on and talks about the five most influential horror movies for them and how it either, led them down the path of writing or made them a content creator, or how it changed their life, or, or whatever. And the first interview I ever did for that series was with an author, indie horror author. And I remember I thought the whole time leading up to it, I was going to throw up. I was so nervous about this concept of like letting someone into the space and like working with other people. And it ended up being literally content changing, because after I did one, I couldn't like get enough of it. And then I scheduled so many others after. So I had like the following year, I had like, I think I did like either 10 or 11 episodes of it back to back with so many different people. And it just created this like buzz about being more involved in the community, working with other collaborations and doing other things. And it turned into this thing that I couldn't even have like fathomed. If you had told me, almost 3 years ago now, like what this was going to become, I would have been like, yeah, okay, sure. Because now I have multiple ongoing series. I have an official co-host who just came on and joined me officially in September. Well, technically the end of August, but he's someone I've done content with before. He's a good friend of mine. And so I finally was like, hey, would you like want to come on and do like for real and like have your own stuff? And we do some more stuff together. And so I have like an official co-host, which again, never thought that would happen, but we do all kinds of stuff. So I've done some of the things I've done in the past that I haven't had the time to do more recently. Is I used to do some horror let's plays. So some let's plays of like some indie horror games. I did some makeup effects. I have a few videos with that kind of stuff. And then now it's more just like conversation based stuff. So We do some movie reviews and stuff, but I have like the first horror talk show. We have the Coffee Crypt, which comes out bi-weekly every other Sunday, which is what started more stuff with my co-host Steve. Like he and I started doing that first, and then it turned into more. I do a series every Friday called Found Footage Fridays with a co-host, Tom Reimer, who is an indie horror author. And we talk found footage movies. We pick a movie and we break it down and we talk about things we like, things we didn't like, and all that kind of fun things. And then I do influential horror still. I have a video game adaptation series I do with another indie horror author named Kat Valor. We do, anything that's been made from a video game into either a series or a movie that's horror themed. And then I have another series that I do all the time called Remakes and Continuations with my friend Scott. He has a podcast called the You Run Podcast. He does like true crime and horror stuff as well, but we talk horror movie remakes and continuations. And he's from the UK, so scheduling with him is super, super fun and stressful. And I always do this where I'm like, I know we're recording today. What time is it there right now? Like, because we're only 5 hours apart, but I can never remember that. And so we're hoping to do some more things with some more filmmaking interviews. We do indie horror author interviews. We started picking those back up. I mean, it's literally everything you can think of horror related, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. I got told early on that I needed to just pick one thing, and I was like, nope. And so I will do what I want with this. And so it's literally like, it's one of my favorite questions when people are like, well, what do you do on your channel? I'm like, just pick something. And it exists there. So yeah, it's been so much fun, and it's been really great I'm glad that I didn't let my fear of getting more involved with other people block it, because I do so many things with so many different people, and it's like the highlight of the content creating. I love it so much.
And you've been at it for 2.5 years now on the channel?
Yeah. I think I'm coming up on 3. Yeah.
Because I was watching your intro video, just under 6 minutes.
Yeah.
By the way, when you said makeup and I laughed, it's because of one of the clips in that video is you completely in red.
My millennial demon. That's one of my favorite things. I thought that was so ridiculous, and I had so much fun with it. But I basically just made a teeny bopper demon look. I made the cup that's in that video, the Starbucks cup that's demon cup of whatever, and I put fake blood on it, and I made my horns with a 3D printer, and I did the blending, and it was so fun. And I was I didn't know what I wanted to do, and because for that month in October I did literally 4 looks. And I was like, millennial demon sounds like the dumbest thing. I'm so excited to do it. And so she's got glitter eye makeup, and she's very sassy looking, and the head, I don't know. I just thought the whole thing was so ridiculous, and I loved it. It was so much fun.
Well, you were it was just this moment where you're standing there and you're covered in makeup, and you're like, so this worked out okay, guys.
I know. I literally am it's fine. I got to work on my blending, but otherwise I'm impressed with myself.
I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was really fun. Not hilarious, laugh at you, hilarious,
no.
Hilarious from a person experimenting with something like that. Well, here we are.
Yeah, I'm very real with my reaction.
It was awesome. I thought that was great. So, man, I gotta ask, because I mean, it's essentially the same question you ask anyone that creates any type of unique art or content. Where did the idea or the motivation for this come up? What made you go from I like reading and watching horror and playing games to I think I'm going to create a YouTube channel on this stuff?
Yeah, so it's a combination of things for me, right? Because I watched other horror let's players, and I didn't watch a lot of on the content side. It wasn't I had horror content creators that I really paid attention to if they weren't gamers. And I don't know, I was thinking more originally I was going to start out as just being just a podcast, because the idea of being on video and editing in it and all of that was really overwhelming. But I watched this show several years ago, and I'm really disappointed that Shudder did not renew this. And it was a Shudder original show called, was it The Core or something like that? Where it was it's literally this guy who was this host of a horror show. And it was they covered all kinds of things. They talked about movies and special effects and the history of things. And they talked about all the masks from the Halloween movies. And it was there was different episodes, and every episode was about something different in the horror genre. And I was if I had a dream job, that would be what it would be, is to just be a host of a horror loving show of some kind. And at the time, I had a little bit of experience on YouTube because I used to have a YouTube channel with my best friend about like very realistic mom stuff, and so we would talk about like very real mom things. And that community, fun fact, is not as wonderful as the horror community, so we don't really do that anymore. Moms are a nightmare. We need to do better. But it's one of those things where I was like, I really liked doing those things and the planning for it. I'm a Virgo, so like planning is like right up my alley. And so, and I just was like, how can I kind of combine the things? And, I had a writing hobby that was kind of dying down in popularity. And so I really just had like some time to like find something else that I was, really passionate about. And I don't know, like I just finally decided. I spoke with another one of my best friends who edited our other videos. And I was like, is this something you would be willing to help me with? Help me get an understanding of what I need to do from like a tech perspective, from like a computer perspective. Like, what do I need to do? And he was like, yeah, like whatever you want to do. And it sort of went from being a podcast thing, which I sat down one night and I played for hours with like ideas and concepts and what I wanted to do. And then I just really literally just randomly decided one day it was going to be YouTube instead. And I think it's because I enjoyed that part more than I realized at the time. And then when I was trying to come up with a name, because that's like, some people come up with that stuff like so fast and they're just like, oh, I know exactly what I want. And I have no idea. I didn't know. And I knew that I wanted something that was kind of all encompassing. I wanted something that was very Tales from the Crypt, hence Mausoleum. And I wanted something very like, because I was picturing what I wanted, right? This is so funny. Like I literally was visualizing in my head what this was going to look like for me. And all I could think about was somebody, me, sitting in a mausoleum with like stuff scattered everywhere with like stories and games and movies and just stuff everywhere. And she's just like scrambling to reach anybody that wants to talk horror with her. And there's like this signal coming out from the building. And so like, these are just things in my head. And immediately it was like, I didn't go through any rough drafts. Immediately I was like voices from the Mausoleum. And that was where it came from, which is the piece of, my best friend that used to edit my videos. He made the intro part for me that has that building with the light coming off of it. And it was just like, it was so perfect because that's what I was visualizing in my head, was this person who's so passionate about something, who was like, just somebody talk with me about these things. And so, so then that was where I came up with Voices from the Mausoleum. And I felt like, it was pretty on brand for what I was looking for. And it ended up turning into something that now I still do all the time.
I love that. It's so cool because I mean, every time you ask a question of anyone who creates something like this, like, kind of, which was like the lead into my question before, I'm I guess subconsciously and very quietly retaining the thought that there was some passion that drove them to this decision that may have been apparent or maybe even not apparent to that person, that they just have been driving down this road for a reason. You hear this a lot with musicians and authors and, all the different types of illustrators and painters and everything, that they've got this thing they just want to get out. Even if they don't know like how to do it or where to do it or whatever the case is or what it's going to be, they just feel motivated, inherently and intrinsically motivated to push in that direction and then experiment and see if it works. And so I bring that up for a very specific reason. Having done the YouTube channels and the podcasts and all the things, I know that starting ramp up time is difficult. There's a lot of learning. There's a lot of like, crap, I've got this great idea, but I don't know who to talk to about it.
Yeah.
Well, people want to come on. We're brand new. I don't have like big numbers to impress people with to get them on the show. All those things. And what I learned over the years was like, who cares, right? Like you just got to throw yourself out there and get it done.
True.
So what was your experience like those first 6 months or so? Like, does that kind of resonate with what you had happen?
Yeah, I tell you, like there are content creators that literally that they're so fortunate enough to have like a base of people that watch and support them that they don't have to go and do the 9 to 5 anymore. And they like get to do that all the time. And like, that would be great. I hate 9 to 5 jobs. I hate them so much. So that would be great. But like I knew going into it, it was going to take time. Kind of coming into YouTube in general, and this is for anybody, YouTube has been around at this point for a while. And so, if you were one of those people who jumped on the YouTube opportunity and you started early, it was a lot easier to become successful. And not that they didn't put in time and it wasn't hard. I don't necessarily mean that, but just because YouTube was so new, it was much easier to get an audience. And right now there's so many people doing similar things or the same things, and it's just like, I don't necessarily view it as competition, but it's just getting into those circles and building it from there. And so for me, I knew going into this, it was going to be a while because YouTube is not kind to new content creators on pretty much any level. My first 6 months, I had 2 copyright strikes, which were not legitimate at all, but I could not get them removed.
Were they related to movies or music?
One, two, both. So I had a music one, which I had the permissions to use that. So I had to fight that. I think that one is officially gone now. And the other one, I think I deleted because it's been over 2 years. And so I just took it down. But the other one was actually a trailer react. So trailers, for anybody listening that doesn't know this, they fall under free use. You can use trailers for promotional purposes, and they're not supposed to copyright you or block you for doing so. However, is it Warner Brothers that does The Conjuring?
I
think it's Warner Brothers. So I covered, because I love the Conjuring franchise. I was very excited to talk about The Devil May Do It, or The Devil Made Me Do It. And I did the trailer reacts. And so it was 4 or 5 trailer reacts. And I got 3 copyright claims. I got rid of 2 of them because I was like, no, it's a trailer. And then, and whoever it is, if I'm wrong about Warner Brothers, it is whoever that is.
No, you're kind of not. It's produced by New Line Cinema.
New Line,
but it's distributed by Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is a jerk. Yeah. Like they absolutely were like, no. I'm like, okay, well then I just won't promote your films anymore. Not like you're losing money because of it, but it just really irritated me.
Right.
Oh, and then I did forget about this. I got another one flagged when I did a makeup effect look. I did a siren look. So it's just literally makeup and fake scales and not even hardly any blood, like at all. And it was like, they flagged it for inappropriate content. And I emailed them and I was not very kind about it. I was like, this is literally a makeup tutorial. Stop it. Cut it out, fix it. And they did, they made it right. But I, honest to God, I felt like after that happened, after I got the first one and I was a new channel, it was like every other video I got flagged. And it was so irritating. And, at the time I had 10 subs, and like my friends were the only ones watching my videos.
The warm market.
Yeah. And so it was so frustrating. And then I really, honestly, it was, thankfully enough, this was something that I had enough passion about that I just didn't really determine. I mean, obviously you want people to watch and engage. I mean, that's a huge part of it, but I was in the mindset of I knew this was going to take some time. And I honestly, I didn't see going into, so I started my channel. My very first video ever was posted in September not last year, year before, I think.
21?
I don't remember the year. 2020.
Okay.
No, 2021. So in 2021, September was when I had my first video go up. I'm pretty sure that's right. Because I think I got the idea. I don't know. Either way, September was one of my first videos. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get all this stuff started and I'm going to put things out there. And so going into the first new year, the following year in January, I had 50 subs and my videos were getting 5 or 6 views at the time. Mm-hmm. And after I released all of those influential horror and I started working with other people, by the end of that year, I had, I think just under 200, which is a big deal. In less than a year, by the time those were all released and I had seen the growth, it was essentially 10 months of working on things. And I saw from 50 to just under 200. And then, and then the last year I saw a ton of growth as well. And then now we're coming up to the end of 2023 and we're almost at 700 subs. And so, nice. But I didn't see I'm telling you, zero growth and engagement until I started working with other people. And it was just, I don't know if it's just a combination of when you work with other people, the people that support them might be willing to support you and you can kind of grow that way. And you've got other people that support you who are sharing you out and stuff like that. But I wonder also sometimes if it's also because it just brought out better content from me, because I was really happy doing those things.
Yeah.
And so, if you go like, it's kind of cringy now. If you go back and watch like the first video compared to like now is me, then was scared me. And I think it's like a really noticeable difference. So it was a really big struggle. And now I don't even pay attention to it.
Right.
There are series I do, like video game adaptations is one of my favorites, because I grew up as a gamer. I love horror games. And so that will be a series that I don't care if nobody ever watches it. I will not stop doing it. Like, because that's what's important to me. And Kat's a very dear friend, and we have some of the best conversations about stuff. And so it's kind of like, I just had to learn to balance, like, I really want to do this versus I want people to watch and like engage in stuff, and just trying to find, a balance of the two.
Now, you chose to do that and have that experience, right? And just persevere through it and keep pushing because you really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
But you also, rather than be satisfied with YouTube content creation about all the things, you also were like, hey, I write, and I want to write and publish, and I'm going to help other people. I'm going to publish some new authors and some existing authors, and I'm going to put out a couple of collections of fiction. And so you put out That Old House, a Voices anthology. And so I like that you tied the voices into the anthology, right? Like it's are those people like, so I'll back up just a little bit because I'm getting ahead of myself here.
Yeah.
But you published the That Old House in September of 2023, this year.
Yeah.
For those that are listening in the future. And in the future. Welcome back to 2023. It's just as crazy as you've read about.
Yeah, no kidding.
So when you did That Old House, like if you published in September, and you and I've had a little bit of a conversation about the publishing period, but that publishing period started for you around June-ish. How much earlier than June did you start planning the anthology?
So this one was one I had had the idea of room specific horror for a really long time. Like even before I was probably a content creator, I'm always fascinated. Like if you're like, if you're a horror game fanatic, you know that like one of the staples is there's going to be a bathroom scene where you get trapped in the bathroom. Something happened in the bathroom. We've got movies like Saw that are built around the bathroom, and and of course that iconic scene from 13 Ghosts. Like, so the bathroom in specific was always one that I was like, I wonder how many different stories you could tell in just that one space. And I literally, it had been a random idea. I just wanted to do it. And so I actually did another anthology December of 2022. That was a charity anthology that my friend Tasha and I put together. That was just female writers. It's called Livestock Stories of the Unheard. And it's essentially a story about reproductive rights, or a book about reproductive rights and body autonomy. And so when we did that one, we were going to do something else first. And then Roe versus Wade got overturned. We're like, oh no, we need to do this instead. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to put this idea on hold. And then I was like, you know what? I think this year, 2023, seemed like a great year to just put it out there and do a submission call for bathroom horror. And my only stipulations were, and this is because it's a personal preference, I don't like comedy horrors. They're just not my thing. And because it was in the bathroom, I felt like I needed to be very explicit that I was not looking for,
that is not something I would have anticipated.
Because I know I'm friends with horror comedy writers, and I love them, and I will always support them, but it is not for me. And I don't want to read those stories 100 times over. I think there's a time and place for those things, and it's just not with me. So I was very clear, I was looking for deep, thoughtful, like really like psychological, like just very unique stories. And so I was like, I'm going to finally decide to do this. And so I think I opened the call in maybe May. I can't even remember now, because all I can remember is like the horrors of the publishing stuff. It's like, but I opened the call, I think maybe it started in either May or June. I can't remember, but it was like a full month. I left it open, and I took in submissions, and then I closed it, and then I did all of the other stuff to get it out. But the thought itself was there for a really long time. And then I finally was like, now sounds like a good time. I don't have like a ton of other projects. And I had so much fun doing the other anthology and putting that together. I was like, I really want to do another one. So then I put it out, and people were really interested in the idea, which was fantastic. A couple people were disappointed that I wouldn't take comedy horror, but I think I saved us both some grief by saying that up front. So but yeah, and people were really intrigued by it. I've gotten a lot of questions about, oh, like what room you're going to do next. And so I just finally decided I'm going to put this out there, and I did.
Now that I know your motivation behind eliminating the comedy horror, you're going to have to do the same thing if you move to any bedroom in the house. Like it's
Yes.
going to happen next. You're going to be like,
Yeah.
all right, do I want this to be romantic? Do I want
Yeah.
to
I'm going
have
to have to put some guidelines of what I'm looking for sure. Yeah.
exotic horror?
Yeah. And I think for me, I wanted to do that because I don't think it's fair for someone to submit something I know is not going to speak to me as a collector. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
like it's not going to be giving them a fair chance. I don't want anybody to have to face a rejection unless, it really genuinely just doesn't fit. And I wanted to be really transparent about that. So,
yeah. And it cuts down on the administrative burden of processing all of that stuff. I mean,
yes.
so good for you. That's really cool that you were able to have a little bit of foresight into that. Because I probably would have been like, yeah, let's get it out there and see what happens. And then I'd have been like,
Yes.
oh God, what have I done?
I know. Yeah.
That's awesome. So That Old House, you guys can find it right now on Amazon.
Mhm.
So go run to Amazon and get it. It's called That Old House, The Bathroom, and published September 3rd, 2023.
Mhm.
Am I correct in assuming that you have many wonderful authors?
Yes. So the authors in this are, and I'm not just saying this because I picked their stories, are so like creative. Like that's like something I keep talking about when talking about this book. So it's got there's a couple people in it that have been published before. So like my friend Kat Valor does have a story in it. Just in case anyone's wondering, it's not because she's my friend, it's because her story is really creative and weird, and I loved it. And so she's been published before. Joshua Pangborn was featured in. He's been in a few things with some other short stories. I think there's like one or two others that have definitely been published before, but for the most part, this is primarily a lot of authors' first publications. So there will be a lot of really unfamiliar names. I say this with like the depths of my soul. Do not let that deter you from reading this collection, because there is some stuff in there that like I cannot believe these writers have not been published before. I mean, the level of, and I know I'm going to keep saying this, like the level of creativity, the way, like none of these stories are the same. And you would think there's like 22 or 21 stories in this one, and then in the next one there's going to be just as many, and you would think like coming up on 50 stories there would be some repetition. No, like these authors really brought their A game. And it's been like it's wild seeing like all of, and then like the people, like, so a lot of the people that are in it are people I follow and stuff, because that's how they saw my post, right? They saw the post about the submission call and stuff. And but yeah, it's a ton of really great authors, and a lot of them, like I said, have never been published before, and they're authors you're going to want to pay attention to.
And that's across two publications, right? Because you've got part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is out. Part 2
Yeah.
is coming very
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
We're not sure exactly what date this episode will air, but we know that part 2 is on the horizon of the recording.
Yeah.
Here in mid-October. So, and then you've got another collection coming up called The Hope.
It's called All the Little Voices.
Oh, did I screw that up?
We talked about so many things.
Wait, hold on a second. What's the hope? What did I
have? The hope is that it's successful.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Guys, that's hilarious. And you will know when you watch this that I let things roll very naturally here. I literally have a note here. It's like the hope equals collection. It's hilarious. And then right behind it, it says collection equals all the little voices. So this is all me. I'm just an idiot.
That's okay.
So anyways, let me restart that question. Angel, since you're so good at doing this, tell me all about all the little voices.
Yeah. So I've had, which I'm sure every author that hears this can relate to this. I have had so many rejections and dismissals and just straight up ignoring what I've submitted so many times. And I've wanted to do a collection of my own forever. And I never felt like I could do it. Like it takes a lot of courage to like take something that can be so personal, like writing and putting it out into the world. And yeah, so I wanted to do, so some of the stories in this are going to be things that I have had written for a while that I just touched up for this collection that have been rejected and ignored. One of them actually, one of the stories called "There Is Only Us" is actually one that was the hardest story to get rejections from, because it ended up, when I was writing it unintentionally, it ended up being so personal, and it was
Uh,
so, like, it was such an emotional story for me. I was so connected to it. And so, like, both times that it got rejected, I was like, I give up. I was like, I can't do this. And so I was like, you know what? That's fine. It's not meant to be in those
mm,
collections. It's meant to be in my own. And then that was what I decided, was I was like, I'll just use this and put it in mine. There is one story in it called The Soul Eater that is actually technically a republication. So that one was my first ever anthology acceptance. And that came out middle of last year in a book called Something Bad Happened, which is a
mm.
ton. There's so many people in that one too. And that's a really cool collection where the editor picked a bunch of random journal topics, like a start of a journal page, and then
Oh,
sent them out. And then people, wrote stories based off of that. So I picked one and I wrote a story based off some characters that had been in my head for years. And so that one, it was edited and changed a little bit for the anthology. So I went back and made it what it was originally, basically, and added some stuff. And so that one's going to be the only one that's like a repub, because the other one's already out. But it's a different version of it. But yeah, it's got, I wanted to do something that, I know we talked about this a little bit before, that kind of showcased like all of my interest and things
mm.
that were things that I really love, either reading about or watching on movies or playing in video games or whatever. So there's like some video game nods, there's some creature stuff, the cryptid stuff, there's haunting stuff, there's a found footage story, because found footage is my favorite subgenre of horror, which is like probably been the most technically complicated to write, because I don't know how, I'm like working on how to convey that in a way that's obviously found footage, but also still works from the story. And so I just wanted to put something together that was like, had all these different things in it. And it was something that I don't know I would have had the courage to do if I hadn't finally had an anthology acceptance. And then
Mm.
I have friends and other writers around me that are like, just do it. Like, just do, like, put yourself out there, take the leap,
Yeah, just get it
And
out.
yeah, so it's got like a ton of different things in it. I'm really excited about it. I'm very nervous about it, but I know it will be something that I'm very proud of once it's like finished and like out into the world.
Oh, that's great. And that's I mean, it's a really big deal to put your own personal collection out there.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a little gratuitous here with my friend Red Legault and just say, she just put out Impulses of a Necrotic
That
Heart,
was
and
on
you
my
picked.
list.
Oh God, you got to get this. It's so good. But that this is like a really good example of, when you build up enough small story content, and
Yeah.
you're ready to float them out there. Some of those are pre-published, some of them are not, and
Mhm.
you can really do a cool thing with packaging. And I think she
Yeah.
kind of got all that nailed down when she did hers really well. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm a big fan, and we've both discussed the strength of collections in horror,
Mhm.
and how anthologies have such a great place in the horror fiction
Yeah.
community. So I love it. And you see some of that in sci-fi, but there's just some genres just don't really latch on to the whole anthology thing. But I'm glad horror does.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It does seem to be primarily horror that does it this much, so, yeah.
So if I'm someone listening to this episode and I'm not familiar with your platform, with your YouTube channel,
Mhm.
with what you're doing with your books, with all of the
Mhm.
things, what's kind of like, what do you really want to get your message across? Like, there's so much you're offering, there's so much you're doing. You're supporting other people, you're working with other authors, you're working
Mhm.
with other content creators on YouTube.
Mhm.
To me, you seem like a really community based kind of
Yeah.
member of the little world here.
Yeah.
What exactly do you hope people will come find? What's the one thing, if like you could put one thing in front of them, what would it be? Like, go check this thing out first.
Um, I think it's more of like I really want people to feel like they have a safe place to be passionate about horror. I think, as great as the horror community is, especially on the indie side of things, there's still a lot of gatekeeping. There's still a lot of things that you see where people are, like it's so strange to me that adults can't just have normal conversations about media and art and just like not agree. And so I would say, as far as things to look at, I think one of the things that's probably would get this specific message across clear is like any conversation I've done with someone on a movie where we did not agree.
Mm.
Because what you'll find is that myself and the people that, that come into, on the channel or that I am, friends with or communicate with on a regular basis and interact with, we can have those conversations and still care about each other and still care about each other's opinions and still talk about things from a point of view of like, you don't like this thing, but I do.
Mm.
And I think it's like, it seems like such a small thing, but I get so tired of the, you're not a horror fan if, and the, well, you just didn't get it. Or, oh, like, and my favorite, most recent one, because this one lit a fire in me that I was like not mentally prepared for, but was the whole argument about Saw being dismissed as torture porn, and like this whole thing of like just tearing apart things that connect and mean things to other people. And it's like, for what reason? For what benefit? Like, it's cool. If you don't like gore, you don't have to like gore. Everybody's got their limitations. Everybody's got their things that speaks to them, that works for them. I don't like horror comedies. I still respect it as a subgenre of horror. And I still love that other people get to experience something that brings them joy. And like, I'm not here to take that away from anybody. And I get so sick of that stuff. Like I got so like the Saw thing was the most recent, but there's been so many examples of that where it's just like, we are gatekeeping this thing that is meant to be enjoyed by everybody. And so that's something that you'll never see that kind of mentality from me or anybody that is in my space on the channel, not from my co-hosts, not from my guests, my friends, nobody, because it is a community that we are like, everybody's building and they're supporting each other, but also where you can be like heard and talk about your things openly without worrying about somebody having some kind of opinion on your opinion. Like it just, my friend that I do remakes with, every time we talk about movies, we never agree. We just got into an argument about, wasn't probably Saw, because Saw's the most recent. We just got into an argument about something, and it was or no, I know what it was. When we thought A24 was going to get Halloween, and then Miramax came in like last minute and took it. And I was like, I really am not like a huge fan of A24. And he was like, yeah, but like A24 has done all these great things. And I was like, and I very jokingly, because he knows me very well, I was like, have they though? Like we can have these conversations where there's banter and joking, and then still like, break it down as like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And I get tired of that, like that mentality of like one of the things, I have this video, this is so crazy. I posted this short like over a year ago, and I still get new comments on it all the time. I did my top 5 werewolf movie picks, just a quick 1-minute video I did on TikTok, and then I reposted it on YouTube. I still get comments on it all the time where people are like literally telling me that my list of favorites are wrong. And I'm like, but it's my list. And I will message people like, oh, I don't have time for that. I do. I've got some time. So I'll message back and I'll just be like, it's awesome that you loved that werewolf movie. I'm so happy that you loved that. But like, that's your list. This is my list. And while I love that movie, it didn't make my list, and like I've been told my list is wrong. Specifically this. There are very opinionated people about werewolf list, apparently. And it's wild to me. Like I've never even heard, like we've never interacted before, but you took time out of your day to comment on my werewolf video to tell me that my choices were wrong. Why? For what reason? And so that's one thing that I push a lot, is not just that sense of community and support, but like that this is like a safe space to discuss these things and not feel like you're going to be mistreated or argued with in a negative way. That you can talk about those things openly and talk about things that you love and be treated with respect. And I think that that's something that I try really hard to cultivate on my channel. And I work a lot with other content creators that I know for a fact do the same thing, because that's really, really important to me. Because I mean, we all have different things that we love and different things that we don't love, and we should be allowed to talk about them safely.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool that you focus on that. And I couldn't help but laugh when you were talking about the werewolf list.
Oh my God.
Like, dude, there's a big difference between opinions and, amongst people, and that's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
By the way, you're never going to get in an argument with me about werewolves.
No.
So we'll be good. Yeah, no, I don't have like that strong an opinion.
Oh, see, I love it. Yeah, and
That
yeah,
I appreciate him. I just am not laying up at
yeah, it's
night
not.
going,
Yeah, yeah,
this is
that's me.
the worst.
Anything werewolf, I'm in. I'm in for. Like, I like if it doesn't matter if it. I don't know anything about it. If it's got a werewolf involved, I'm watching it or reading it or consuming it in some manner because it's just one
Well,
of my favorite things. And I think it's so like I just feel like it hasn't reached its potential. Like we keep doing the same stuff over and over again. But yeah, there apparently that's a hot topic for some people because there are some really mad people that are like, and you didn't put American Werewolf in London because it's not my favorite werewolf movie. Like it's cool if you love it. It's got a cult following. I think it's a great movie. It's got one of the best transformation scenes, but it's not
yeah.
on my list. Like, so
Well, here's the most important question. Is Teen Wolf on your list?
given what I've already mentioned, right, about like my comedy horror stuff, it is not, but I do love that movie. It's very fun.
I couldn't help myself. I'm a kid of the 80s. It's
Yeah.
definitely not a horror. That was me just being
Silly,
me
yeah.
being
That's a fun no,
ridiculous.
it's a fun one. You know what 80s werewolf movie is though on my list of top 5?
What's
Silver
it?
Bullet.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Love
fantastic.
that one. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
You know, it's got good roots. It
Yeah,
comes from a good place.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, this is not something I expected to be talking about today. Werewolves. Like if you'd asked me yesterday, what are you gonna be talking about on the podcast tomorrow morning? That would have not
Yeah.
landed on my radar. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a little bit of a different closing question than I normally ask people.
Okay.
Um, where do you find the content you like to watch? Like like who are you following? Like usually I ask people like refer a book or another
Yeah.
author or something, but what types of, who are you following on YouTube? Who do you think people should check out besides Voices from the Mausoleum, of course?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I watch quite a few people. And I think one of the ones that I have found through doing my own content creating that I felt was probably the most creative that really keeps me and like into the stuff that they're doing is a channel called Horror Fiend TV. And it's essentially these three guys. They do have a bonus person that does certain things, and she's kind of getting more involved, but she's a little bit newer to the channel. But they do all kinds of things. But what's really unique about them is their channel is set up like a television show, or I mean a television channel. So they have different shows that they do. And every show that they do has a season, has a finale, and then it ends. And then you have to wait for that show to come back. So they have a couple of different ones. They do one of the ones that they do is the Fiend Zone, which is more like their like either quick reviews or they'll do like an update on something in particular that they have a lot of opinions about, like if it's a news clip or something like that. They do Joe the psychologist who breaks down movies and discuss, because he is a psychologist in real life, he breaks down whether it is psychological or just horror. And that's a really great segment. They do another series called The Movies That F Me Up. And it's about, those movies that most of us have probably seen and like never watching that again. And so like that kind of stuff. They have a found footage show that's called Lost or Found, which is really cool. It's set up like this news guy who is literally going to find these tapes and find out these things like it's real. And it's just the creativity, the effort that they put into their content is so great. And they never run out of ideas. Right now they're doing Brains and Brews, which is like a drinking and zombie show. And like, it's just always coming up with new stuff.
That's
And so I
awesome.
really love them and their content, and they're great people to work with. But they just put out really unique stuff.
Hmm.
Another one that I follow is Norenrad89, which he does like physical media hauls, movie reviews, franchise covers. And he does not do just horror. He does other things as well. But like one of the funny ones right now, and I guess this is technically horror, but it's like kid horror, is he's going through all the Scooby-Doo shows and movies. And so he's like talking about all of those, and he does like rankings, and
Really?
it's so cute. It's great. And he's so nice, and his content, and he's very consistent. He posts all the time. Like, and he does all kinds of stuff. And he'll do like, oh, I went out today and these are the things that I bought. And he'll go through like his physical media collection and stuff like that. Another really great one that I follow pretty closely is Sledgehammer Horror. So they do a lot of, it's a husband and wife team, and they do a lot of horror stuff. So they do like a series called My First Horror, where they have people come on and talk about their very first horror movie. They do verses, so like the remakes and the originals. Didn't see that coming for like movies that had plot twists. Like they do a lot of really creative
Oh.
stuff over there too. And those are the big ones that I watch a lot. I also support my friend Scott. He has the You Run podcast does horror movie reviews and true crime. So I watch, but his stuff, a lot of his stuff is primarily on his podcast, but he does have a YouTube channel. So I watch that stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot. I probably could go on. I have tons of people that I try to watch. It takes a long time to get caught up. And man, when I get behind, it's exhausting because everybody puts out so much great stuff and you want to catch all of it. And it's hard between doing it yourself and life and whatever. But yeah, those are just a few of the ones that I think are just really unique voices in the horror, no pun intended, in the horror world of like just really creative. And again, all of those people are super safe places. They're very all inclusive. They're very just really warm and friendly people too, on top of being really great content creators.
Oh, that's really cool to get those recommendations from you because you're someone in the mix, and you see a different side of it than maybe the YouTube algorithm is feeding me. It's like it just puts in front of me what it thinks I want to see, and it's good to get a recommendation from you because half the time the things they're putting in front of me I actually don't want to see.
Yeah. It takes a long time to fix that, like a long time. Yeah.
I had to teach my I have three kids, two of which are boys, and I had to sit them down and say, let me show you what happens when you open up a YouTube channel account with no algorithm feedback yet. And it's just based on dude at this age, and it's ridiculous. And my wife's like, holy cow, I had no idea. I said, yep. I'm sure it's the same for my daughter who's 12,
Yeah.
just in the opposite direction. It's crazy. The garbage that is literally put in front of you instead of all this great content that's out there. So we appreciate you referring such great content.
Yeah.
I guess, kind of wrap things up here. What's the best way for authors and other creators to engage with you and to talk with you about collaborations and all the things?
Yeah, so I'm on everything. So I have a TikTok, a Blue Sky, a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter, and then of course my YouTube channel. But I think probably the place I'm the most active right now until it burns to death is Twitter. I'm the most active on there. That's where I chat with a lot of people. I have like some people I talk to too much. I had to move it over to Instagram since Elon capped us out on our DM availabilities or whatever. And so, but yeah, I'm the most active on Twitter. My Twitter handle is just @from_Mausoleum. And that's where I post like what I'm watching, new episodes that have come up, just random thoughts. And, that's kind of the place that I'm the most active. But just being honest, if you reach out to me, as long as you're not creepy, I'll message back and engage. So I'm there to talk and chat with people. So,
And I can vouch for that because it's exactly how I get. It's like, hope I'm not being creepy. Nice to meet you. I dig your channel. Would love to talk with you. Yeah, that's great. Because I do feel like part of the treacherous ground for it doesn't even matter if you've been publishing for years or if you're new to the game or whatever. If you're looking for places to share your stories, get to meet new cool people, talk about your book, talk about your YouTube channel, talk about all the things you're doing, you've got to reach out and engage with people. And, it's kind of crazy because I do this on the regular, having a podcast, but I have like a sign up sheet on my page and people can go there and they can sign up to come to the show. And like, there's a process, but I find a lot of content creators just don't have a way for someone to engage them and say, hey, look, I'd like to share something with you. How do I get on the show? Or how do we just get to talking so you can figure out if I'm a good guest or whatever? Or I've got a new book coming out or I've got a new YouTube channel and like, I would love to talk with you about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really intimidating. So my message to all the people that are out there that are thinking about doing those things is just go do it. Because people are probably a little bit more inclined to talk to you than you may anticipate. And Angel and I connected through social media. I was like, hey, dig your channel. Would love to have you on the podcast sometime to talk about what you're doing on YouTube. And here we are. So
yeah.
Awesome. So Angel, thank you so very much for sharing all the stuff with us. We talked about the YouTube channel, which we talked about werewolves. We talked about that old house, bathrooms, comedy horror. Like we got all the stuff in there.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, well, you're coming back. You just don't know it yet. We're going to have you back. Because you got future publications coming out.
Yes.
So we'll have to get you back when that's happening. Also, I need to connect you with a few people. When you started mentioning horror games and influencing other art, I was like, names started scrolling in my head. So
Oh,
yeah, I'll send you a couple names as soon as
do
we
it. Yes.
jump off the line here. But
Yeah.
guys, go check out everything Angel's doing. Go like and subscribe and watch all the good stuff she's doing, great stuff she's doing over at Voices from the Mausoleum, and pick up the book. Go to Amazon, grab a copy of That Old House, a Voices anthology, The Bathroom, minus the comedy,
Yes.
and enjoy the heck out of all this great content that Angel's bringing to us. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So, Angel, thank you so much. We'll talk to you very soon.
Yeah. Thank you. You too. Yeah.
All right, guys. See you in the next episode.